I've compared this show to The Simpsons before, and that's not without reason. The Wattersons and The Simpsons share many archetypes: the fat and stupid father, the smart daughter, the troublemaking son, and the mother who acts as a foil to the father. Now, I'm not saying that The Amazing World of Gumball ripped off The Simpsons. Rather, what I'm saying is that The Amazing World of Gumball is part of a trend started by The Simpsons. Of course, The Simpsons are not the only show that has influenced Gumball, but the archetypes that it codified are very much a part of it. Many of the family sitcoms that came out as a result of The Simpsons have in many ways shaped the archetypical modern sitcom. Said sitcoms didn't necessarily lift their formula straight from The Simpsons, but they were invariably inspired by it. The father archetype is by far the most prevailing influence of The Simpsons. Even in shows where the children differ from Lisa and Bart in significant ways, the father can often be traced back to Homer Simpson. Although as time went on, the fathers of family sitcoms tended to adopt more negative qualities. This varies in severity, of course, from Peter Griffin, abusive asshole, to Richard, who's just kind of a jerk. Another prevailing trope of the time was the father's foil, the mother. While Marge is not as much of an icon as Homer, she has had some influence in the sitcom genre, typically acting as the voice of reason to the father's more self-centered antics. That's not to say that Marge didn't have her oddities. The wife as a counterpoint to the father was a trait expanded on in other shows coming out of The Simpsons' wave of influence. So what does this have to do with The Amazing World of Gumball? The dysfunctional family archetype that was created by shows like The Simpsons was ultimately what formed the basis for the Watterson family. Richard Watterson, while being closer to Homer than other Simpson-inspired fathers, he still has a stronger selfish streak than Homer himself, particularly when talking about Season 1 Richard. Nicole very much acts as the mother archetype, acting as one of the two voices of reason. That's not to say that she can't act in her own dysfunctional way. Her least archetypical aspect, her anger, can and does cause her many problems, but she still commonly acts as a straight man against Richard, even if a straight man is not always her role. Gumball and Anais also have an archetypical connection to The Simpsons. Namely, Gumball is the troublemaking son, while Anais is a well-behaved and intelligent sister. Even if the connection between Gumball and Bart is far more tenuous than Lisa and Anais. Once again, the Wattersons aren't ripoffs. They have their own unique traits that make them characters all their own, but the connection is still there. They may be more archetypes than character copies, but said archetypes did pretty much originate from The Simpsons. Even Darwin can be compared to The Simpsons, specifically Milhouse, given that they're both a naive best friend to the troublemaking son. Well, after Season 1 anyway. Truth be told, in Season 1, Darwin didn't really have much of a character of his own. Instead, he was pretty much a copy of Gumball. He's not a complete non-entity, mind you, given how we do see some hints of him being more selfless, but that trait will become much more pronounced later. The reason I'm focusing so much on The Simpsons right now is to show that as unique as this show can be, it did not spawn from the ether fully formed. Most media, no matter how unique, does tend to have some elements inspired by other types of media. Specifically, Gumball has taken elements from The Simpsons. That's not an insult either. While the dysfunctional family archetype has certainly become overused, that doesn't mean it can't still be used to great effect. Even if the idiot father trope wasn't used that well in Gumball Season 1. The thin mother archetype was used to better effect, primarily by how the show gives their own unique spin to Nicole. I'm of course talking about the endless rage. You're gonna have to pay for that yourself. In this season, Nicole is probably the most entertaining and memorable character. Even if there are some episodes that don't treat her all that well, the episode was just uncomfortable. While this show is very much based on the tropes of the family sitcom, the best aspects of it are the ones that deviate from the formula in unique ways. The first season feels far more archetypical than the future seasons, where the aspects that make the world of Elmore unique begin being explored to a greater degree. That being said though, there are still some unique elements to the first season. The supporting cast is far less bound to the tropes of The Simpsons, with much more unique spins to their characters. While later they fleshed out the more unique aspects of the cast, including the Wattersons, in the first season this show was very much finding its identity, to the point where there's a character who only has a speaking role in one episode. Specifically an elephant named Molly, whose design I love, but who was written in a supremely boring manner. While she did appear a few more times as a background character, she ultimately disappeared after the first season. Although that's nothing compared to this character who appeared as a background character a couple times before just disappearing from the series. The Amazing World of Gumball is very much a show that has improved in every aspect since its inception. The animation got tighter, the episode premises got more creative, the voice acting was refined to a T, and the jokes even became funnier. Honestly, I don't think I would have been able to get into the show if it stayed like season 1. I mean, I actually did try to get into it when it first premiered. Nothing in the season really hooks me, not the voice acting, not the characters, not the humor, not the animation. The animation can feel stilted, and while the integration of various animation styles is still impressive and it is done with an eye for detail, the animation feels less polished than it would later become. The animation for the season feels very hit or miss, with many awkward moments along with some genuinely impressive bits of animation. Now let's talk about Richard. In this season, he is generally unpleasant. He's the fat selfish idiot archetype I was talking about, where the well-meaning fat idiot became more of a jerk when the Simpsons wave of influence became codified in the family sitcom. Richard is once again an example of how the first season fails to compare with the later seasons, with even Richard's character gaining an improvement later on. That's not to say that this season is all bad, far from it. The episodes with Tina I am rather fond of. The Quest and the Bully both have rather sweet endings in my opinion. While I very much welcome the changes made to the show in season 2, I don't think this season is a complete train wreck, even if this season wasn't really good enough to hook me on its own. As much as I love the Amazing World of Gumball, the first season has several flaws that make it something I won't go out of my way to rewatch. While there are some legitimately impressive moments, the animation can be awkward at times. While some jokes work, a lot of them fall flat. The first season of The Amazing World of Gumball, while not terrible, is also nowhere near as good as the show would become. Everything that I would come to love about this series would not come into fruition until later. Yeah, truth be told, if you want to check out this show, just skip the first season.
I'm so glad I confiscated it. Watterson, what are you...